What's up guys, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today we will be showing you how to make probably the best intelligent base build in Elden Ring, the Dark Moon Greatsword build. This sword is an S tier scaling weapon with an insane Ash of War that can deal more than 5,000 damage per attack. This is a late game weapon that can be attained after completing Ronnie's questline. If you want to do a full playthrough with this build, it'll probably have to be on New Game Plus, which you'll see is totally worth it as we show you how overpowered this build is. The next main thing for this build is the infamous legendary spell, Common Azure, loaded with spells and enchantments to make it that much more overpowered. When this build is all paired together, it is insanely broken on both PvE and PvP. Keep in mind all of the clips shown are on New Game Plus 5, so you will be doing much more damage if played on an earlier playthrough. Before we get started, it would be greatly appreciated if you dropped a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you'll be notified when we drop more Elden Ring content. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video, starting off with the talisman.
First talisman that we will be covering is the Godfrey icon. To get this, you have to go to the location shown in the clip and kill the boss inside of the Evergel. This boss is just a reskin of Godric, so if you've made it this far into the game, he shouldn't be too much of a problem. Once you defeat him, he will drop the legendary talisman. The Godfrey icon raises the attack power of charged spells and skills by 15%, which is applied to our Ash of War and Common Azure. This is a crucial part of the build.
The next talisman is the Shard of Alexander. This will be at the location shown on the map. Once there, walk up to Alexander and clear his dialogue. Once done, he will ask you to fight him. Once beaten, he will drop the Shard of Alexander. This talisman greatly boosts the attack power of skills by 15%, which is a necessity for this build.
The next talisman is the Ritual Sword Talisman. To get this, you need to go to the place shown on the map in Altus Plateau. Once there, follow the path shown in the video where you'll be led to a boss fight in an underground bunker. This boss fight is the easiest boss shown in the video, so you shouldn't struggle. You can easily kill him if you simply use Common Azure as soon as you walk through the fog gate. Anyways, after you beat him, walk through the doorway behind him and open the chest. Inside the chest will be the Ritual Sword Talisman, which raises attack power by 10% when at max health. This is a big reason why we were able to do so much damage with one single attack.
The final talisman we'll be covering is the Magic Scorpion Charm. To get this, you'll have to complete Seluvis' questline. To access this questline, you'll have to talk to Ronnie at Ronnie's Rise, but before you can do any of that, you'll have to traverse through Carrier Manor. At the end of Carrier Manor, you'll have to fight a boss. This boss is basically a magic version of the tree sentinel you meet in Limgrave, so it shouldn't pose much of a threat. After defeating him, you'll be able to talk to Ronnie at her Rise. After clearing her dialogue, you'll have to traverse down and talk to Ghost Form Seluvis. During his dialogue, he will tell you to meet him at his tower. Once there, talk to him again and begin his questline. We won't show the full questline in the video, but if you want a guide, drop a comment and we'll make it as soon as possible. Anyways, towards the end of the questline, you can speak to him again. Doing this will give you the Magic Scorpion Charm. This talisman increases magic damage by 12%, proving incredibly useful with our build.
Those are all the recommended talisman for the build, but here's one more that you can swap out with one of the others if you want to focus on Common Azure more than the Dark Moon Greatsword. This will be a late game item that you can get in the concentrated snowfield called the Graven Mass Talisman. This talisman greatly raises the potency of spells by 8%. This can be used to further enhance the Common Azure spell, but I think that it is already good enough by itself, so I'd recommend using the 4 previous talisman.
Now let's get to the staff that we'll be using to cast our spells, the Carrion Regal Scepter, which you get from defeating Renala and using her Remembrance. This weapon has an S level scaling and is great for our sorcery.
The last weapon you will be needing for this build is the Jellyfish Shield. To get this, you have to go to the foot of the 4th Belfry to Grace and follow the path shown in the clip until you get the shield. This shield has an amazing Ash of War called Contagious Fury, which boosts attack power by 20% for 30 seconds. This is extremely useful when paired with our build.
Now let's get into the Wonders physics, starting off with the Cerulean Hidden Tier shown in the location on the map. When you arrive, you'll be met with a boss fight. This boss is slightly difficult but can be easily defeated with the use of the Common Azure spell. Once defeated, he will drop the Cerulean Hidden Tier, which eliminates all FP consumption. This allows us to infinitely spam Common Azure. This is pretty self-explanatory, but still makes our build that much more busted.
The last tier for a physic is the Magic Shrouding Crag tier. This is in the location shown on the map. Once there, he will again have to fight another easy boss, and once defeated, he will drop the Magic Shrouding Crag tier, which boosts magic damage by 20% for 3 minutes. This is used for our Moonlight Ash of War and spells.
Now that we're done with all the items and weapons, let's get into the stat layout and build overview. The first thing we have is obviously our primary weapon, which is the Moonlight Greatsword. This weapon is incredibly busted because it does insane magic and frost damage. The next item we have is the Carrion Regal Scepter and the Dragon Communion Seal. Both are pretty self-explanatory. One allows us to use Common Azure and Terra Magica, while the other allows us to use other buffs such as Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Next up is this Jellyfish Shield, which brings one of our best buffs for this build, that being its Ash of War, Contagious Fury. After that, we have the armor set for this build, that being the Spellblade set. This is a very important part of the build as each armor piece increases magic damage by 2%. We have on all pieces of the set, which increases our magic damage by 8%. After that, we obviously had the 4 talismans shown earlier along with our Wondrous Physic. Now for the stat layout, your main attribute will be Intelligence, which you will want to have it as close to 80 as possible. You don't want to go over 80 because that is the hard cap, as upgrading any pass it is basically useless. Next is Strength and Dexterity. You're going to want to put Strength at least 16 and Dex at least 11. Obviously you can bump those up a little more if you have extra attributes. Next you're going to want to have a minimum of 25 Faith so you can use all our buffs. For Mind, you're going to want to have at least 40 so you can use Common Desert. With the rest of your points, just dump those into Vigor and Endurance as much as you like. That'll be it, but keep in mind you can change it up if you need to, although we recommend being as close to this as possible. Now that we're done with that, let's get into the PvE aspect of things.
PvE and PvP are more or less the same story. There's a few advantages that PvE has over PvP though. For one, in PvE you have plenty of time to use all of your buff and spells to increase your damage. This leads to stuff like the clip below where we are taking out bosses in a very small amount of hits. Also, in PvE, the boss's movesets are very predictable, which makes it easy to land your fully charged up spells and attacks. Another great thing about the Dark Moon Greatsword is that it has insane frost buildup which leads to excruciating amount of damage. On top of that, this weapon also has insane stagger damage, so it is nearly every boss fight where you're able to get a critical attack. Putting the Dark Moon Greatsword aside for a second, this build also has the Common Desert spell with it. When this spell is paired with the right buffs, it does infinite damage. When you put everything together such as buffs, spells, frost buildup, and stagger damage, it leads to over 5,000 damage in one attack. There isn't really too much more to say on the PvE side of things other than it is just insanely overpowered.
With PvP, it's nearly the same thing. When I say that, I mean it's also insanely overpowered. Although you have less time to use your buffs, our Ash of War still one-shots opponents and has a relatively fast animation, making it easier to hit enemies. This build also has relatively far range, as our Ash of War can be shot long distances, one-shotting opponents. The only real problems that we face with PvP is in the ability to use Common Desert, which is relatively useless. All in all, however, this build is pretty great in both PvE and PvP. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope we helped you find your next Elden Ring build. If you made it this far into the video, we recommend checking out our other videos showcasing Elden Ring's best bleed build and the best build in Elden Ring. All the way us now is for you to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you'll be notified when we drop all our Elden Ring content. With all that being said, thanks again for staying till the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.